Hey guys, welcome to a new week. Began a series 2 weeks ago on profiling everyone who wants to contest for the position of the presidency come 2027. I began with Goodluck Ebele Jonathan, move over to Atiku Abubakar. So today I'm on Peter Gregory Obi. So I want to profile Obi, and I'm doing this just not because I know too much about this individual or I am in a better place to profile them. And I'm just doing it I'm doing this based on it is important for us to know those who are virgin, those who wants to represent Nigeria come 2027. We need to get it right this time. We need to start putting Nigeria in a better light, because see the things happening in Europe, see what is happening in the US. Everyone they lock border. No one wants to accept Nigerians anymore. No one wants to accept people where they cause. No one wants to accept Nigeria anymore. So it is best we keep our home and pick up the right leaders, that we change the narrative, how the world sees us, and also start implementing the right policies, start engaging in developmental infrastructures that would put Nigeria in a better space, in a better light, because Nigeria, whether we like it or not, is our holy home. So that is the reason why I'm profiling this individual. And today I'm looking at Peter Gregory Obi. Welcome to the Testament podcast.
Instead it be sleep, let it be hate, let it degrade, let it be deep. Some others should weep, some others should keep the memory of the way that I died. Maybe.
So in profiling this individuals, what I said I would do, I'm just trying to give a recap of the reasons why I'm doing it, and also the areas of their life which I'm paying attention to. One is their personality traits, just to be able to understand these individuals, why they took decisions they took, why they acted the way they acted. So I'm looking at their personality traits on how it affected their decision, and how we can be able to understand who they really are. Then I'm also looking at their educational qualification to just see if these individuals, those personalities, if they have the educational criteria, the qualification, the edge to represent Nigeria, to be a leader in Nigeria. And thirdly, I'm also looking at their public services. I am not paying attention to their private life, their life with their family, their religion or whatever. I'm just paying attention to these persons. Before you want to represent Nigeria, you don't fill opposition before. How did you perform? What did you do? How did you engage in the policies you engaged in to bring the dividends of democracy to the people? What are the things you did? So these are the criteria I'm going to weigh these individuals on. So let's go straightly into Peter Gregory Obi. I'm just going to give us a background or things I've been able to pick from the little dive I did. Not that I did this, say I know too much about these topics. I'm not a professional when it comes to these topics. I just want to talk based on, I think it is important that we get an idea of who these people are. Now, number one, also, these individuals, if you look at the Gen Zs, those in their early 20s, in their 18s, 18, 17, 16, or from 18 upward, 18, 19, 20, 21, I think 23, or 24 to 25, we don't really know the public service of these individuals. We not really know too much about who they were, what they did, how they came into the political scene, what they've engaged in. We don't really know too much about them, because at this time when these individuals still opposition, now some of them they take born, some of them, or neither some of them table born. Peter Obi came into the political scene in 2003 and verge into the political scene by becoming a candidate under APAC, the All Progressive Grant Alliance in Anambra State. I've checked some from record to know if he has occupied any political position prior to coming as a governorship candidate under that umbrella, and it's called that he has not. To let you find out about Peter Obi is his business engagement in Nigeria and also outside Nigeria. Since you're not paying attention to that, we'll just look at his public life. And the public life started in 2003, which most of Gen Zs were born. in 2003, and that was when he came under the umbrella. So let's go back to understanding this individual, this man, from the personality traits he possesses. Now we have 5 basic big personality traits, and I'm also saying all this to say that I am not a professional, neither am I in a better position to, or a best position to profile this individual. I am doing this based on, I think it is good for us to know this individual, no matter how little I'm able to present them. The thing is, when I go through the Goodluck Ebele Jonathan profiling, I was able to understand how his agreeableness affected him. Goodluck Ebele Jonathan is very agreeable. I will say how it affected the policies and the decisions he took, and how that being so high in agreeableness affected him calling a spade, and making a lot of considerations that made his tenure or his administration to be seen by critics as one of the most corrupt administration in the history of Nigeria. And I also look at Atiku Abubakar, see how he is also high in conscientiousness, and how this affected him despite the challenges he have embarked, or just despite the challenges he has confronted all through his political career. Several times he has vouched for a position, been denied as a result of some political circumstances or one way or the other, just be denied, and how he has tried to represent Nigeria in different umbrella for 6 times. 6 times Atiku Abubakar don't try to become president since 1993. We are contested for the presidency under Social Democratic Party, and MKO came out victorious in that primary. Ever since, Atiku has been on this matter, so we see that he's high in conscientiousness. So coming to Peter Obi's situation, I can't really place my hand on which of the 5 big personality traits is really very high on. He felt that is very moderate when it comes to assessing him in all personality traits: openness, conscientiousness, agreeableness, extraction, and eroticism. Is just feels so moderate in all of this, and I'm trying to understand why. And also, there's also one very special, particular thing about him, which I feel stand him out. No, stand him out. I just want every one of us to follow up. Stand him out is, one, what he studied in school. See, I don't want to understand this individual, because I remember those days when they go to school. One of the beauty about it is we had the opportunity to, most of the times, those of us when grew up in the 70s, 80s, 60s, and maybe early 90s, we discovered that the choices of our courses were fully the positioning of our parents. Now, our parents want us to really focus on how we do. We don't really, most of us don't really get the upper hand to make a choice of the subject we want to engage while we're in secondary school, because most of us don't feel make choice of areas we really want to do. Our parents wanted us to study professional courses, law, doctor, engineering, and stuff like that. So if they tell you in the 80s or in the 70s or in the 60s that they tell your parents you want to become a musician, they go deal with you. Not like now, when parents don't really understand how you can be a successful musician and to change the world, and everyone who wants you to become a musician and engage in not less. Parents these days don't really pay attention to professional courses anymore, because they don't see other opportunities when they're other areas of specialization. Now, Peter Obi studied philosophy. That was it. He had his first degree, although he has done a lot of things. So educationally, he's qualified to verge for such position as the president. And I said earlier in my previous episode that the educational qualification for such position is SSE, which I think is also very poor, that we should raise the bar higher, maybe a minimum of a BSc, so that we get somebody who don't really tackle educational matter to a point, because the more challenges you experience either in life or in study shows your resistance, shows how you'll be able to define obstacles, how you'll be able to draw meaning out of it from from situations and take a proper decision. Not somebody went there for secondary school when just want to start life. Okay, now, born in the 60s, 19th July 1961, Anambra State. And the first time being the political scene from every record shows that it was in 2003. And let's go back to his educational side and weigh it with all the personality traits. Like I said, I don't really see any side when they very high, whether in openness, it's just kind of moderate, in conscientiousness, in agreeableness, in his expression, his sociability, and it's also in his neuroticism, how they manage emotion. Because one of the big problem of our politicians, which I've seen over time, is majority of them not if they manage their emotions. Once somebody attack them, they just want to use their power to oppress that person. We can see them how it is. Once you call out a politician in Nigeria, you see how he wants to use his position to oppress you. But Peter Obi, they feel control such. We don't see over time how people don't call her out, people don't accuse them, even when they do not have any evidence to back up their claim. And you see how he carried himself. He has been on the political scene for 22 years, if I'm not mistaken, from 2023 to 2025. And we see that if that person, when they hide something, or if that person, when not really get this characterization, say they pretend, one way or the other, go don't miss them. Get a person who don't push and reach when we go don't retaliate. But we never see all these things point out. And we don't see how it verge for, how it run for justice, to get justice under. And the funny thing is, now let's go back to his educational qualification. I might not to digress too much. Now, philosophy. What would made Peter Obi study philosophy? Is it based on the choice of his parents? Now, Igbo guy, Igbo parents allow you to go school. At that time, he went to school. They want you to do professional courses. Why? Or was the philosophy a second choice? Maybe wait till he go for you not get the mark, jam not given the you not get the point for him to get an admission into such area, such department, and they gave him this as an option. Maybe, but he had his first degree in philosophy. And what is really philosophy? Why they point out the philosophy as a pivotal in this discussion is we need to understand the importance of philosophy. Number one, at the time he went to it, not the time when parents they really encourage their children to go for such. So let's assume that it was a second choice and it studied philosophy. Philosophy we know is the study of meaning, the study of existence. You want to know why this thing be like this. A philosopher want to understand why this thing exists. Why are we here? What is purposefulness? What is meaning? What is life? What is existence? Why we did this planet? Why are there plants around? Want to understand everything around. Want to understand the importance of truth. Always in the pursuit of truth. Always the pursuit of knowledge. That is what philosophy is all about. The study of these things. So why would someone just get fled to study the meaning, the purpose of life? And we'll see how this play out in the decisions they take or he took. We'll see how focusing on understanding a problem and finding solution. You see, if any discussion when I just hope that someday I will have the opportunity to interview Peter Obi, because I see recycled questions all through his political career. Like every journalist when they engage Peter Obi are asking similar questions all through, all of them. If you take like a language model is the formation when they build AI. I think I'm right. So now they build this artificial intelligence language model, and if you take the questions and answer Peter Obi don't answer during his campaign for 2023, you take just the questions and answer and program it into a system, you go feel use the answers he provided all through his campaign. This is what I've studied all through his campaign. answer the questions that is being asked any program you don't go. That those answers go answer same questions, because the questions I've seen over time are repetition. They don't really they ask these politicians the right questions. Now, in trying to know him, see the first obstacle he had when he became a politician. One was he came under APAG in Anambra State in 2003 election and was faced with an opponent from the PDP. And you know our PDP get power at that time, because in 1999 PDP don't already come into play. Olusegun don there as a president of that PDP. So PDP don't win a lot of parties. PDP get most of the control, most of the states. So PDP get upper hand for the federation then. So he came under APAG. Although APAG had serious stronghold for Anambra State at that time also. Then Chris Ngige came under PDP. And after the election, the INEC gave or declared Chris Ngige as the winner of 2003 election. And Peter Obi stood on his mandate. He said that he has evidence to prove that there were electoral malpractices, rigging, ballot boxes, and violence. And he took this matter to the tribunal, the electoral tribunal in Anambra State. For almost 3 years, Peter Obi fight this cause. And later, they gave him his mandate. They nullified the election, said the evidence provided by Peter Obi was sufficient enough to show that the election was marked with malpractices. And this time when this incident happened showed the power of the judiciary. In short, the judiciary were praised. In short, that particular time when all this incident, when Anambra State, they heated Christine Ngige and Peter Obi get legal issue. Most states, they get issues same, and the judiciary, they play important role. Once you are able to present the evidence, prevent proof to show that yes, this election gets foul play, the judiciary will stand on their ground. They stood on integrity, not on political influences, not on monetary gain, not on personal gratification. To stand on, we must make sure we get it right. And the judiciary changed the course during that time. Judiciary, see, they fear the judiciary arm of the federation, because of once you take the matter you petition the matter and you take it to the law court, there's every chance that you win. It happened in Edo State. It happened in Anambra State. It happened in some other states which I cannot remember right now. That the reason why these individuals came to play was after the court gave them victory. That was when the judiciary. See, now we don't see those things again. The judiciary arm of the federation, or the judiciary itself entirely, don't feed the politicians who consider monetary gain, who consider the money, who consider their enrichment, consider their personal gain over the interest of Nigerians. You say I don't play. Okay, we see our situations don't play. Let's take, for instance, let's play it all back in 2023 election. We see how, despite the evidence, these are not evidence based on, say, the candidates who participated. These are evidence based on people who come out to vote. They were recording showing violence. They were recording showing ballot boxes. They were recording showing INEC foul play, calling out election when they never collate or result. They were records showing all of these practices. Enough reason for them to nullify the election and say, oh, wait. Okay, more wait. This one done too much. I don't take this election. Because this same thing don't happen before. If you look now, so now, when they will conduct the election in 2027, not be all states go hold their state elections that same year. Because the judiciary played a pivotal role during those times. That they changed the course politically in Nigeria. They were calling the shots because they knew the power that they had. And they knew that it is their responsibility for them to bring the people interests at play at the forefront. That they needed to stand for integrity, not like what we see right now. They nullify a lot of elections once you're able to show proof. But we don't go back to Peter Obi issue. And Peter Obi fought this matter for court for almost 3 years until the election was nullified. And Chris Ngige told to pack out, and they reinstate Peter Odili. Sorry, and they reinstate Peter Obi. But that's not the only issue. All through his 2 tenure he did in Anambra State, he had like 3 cases on many issues, which I'm not going to pay attention because of time. Now let's go also. After that, like few months after they reinstate him as the governor of Anambra State, he was impeached. He was impeached by the Anambra State House of Assembly over gross misconduct. After like 8 months, when he don't stay as the governor, he was impeached. And do you know what he did again? He took the matter to court again. He said this impeachment failed all backings. Impeachment that was backed by Nigeria Constitution. He also stood his ground that the impeachment, the proceedings, the procedure they followed, how the members of the House of Assembly went about the impeachment, also contradict the Constitution. They replaced him with the deputy. They replaced him with the deputy governor, and Peter Obi was in court. Even when they did the election, even when they were doing the election, Peter Obi still they fight court battle. Now, there's something I want to point out when it comes to his impeachment process. His impeachment process has similarity with what happened in Rivers State. More lay consideration, more make comparisons. Now, the impeachment in the impeachment in Rivers State also, we don't hear in recent times that he also contradicted the Nigerian Constitution. The proceedings, the process the president engaged to impeach Fubara goes against the Constitution. But because some of these politicians, they don't say their birthright, they get Godfather, they believe so much that they don't understand the power of the chief executive officer of a state. The chief executive officer of a state, based on the Constitution, operates same power, executive power, as the president of the nation. Now they call the shot for the state. They don't really understand the power of the governor. That make the governor think say once I'm a state governor, the party or whoever there has right over me. Those who understand their power know as they run them. They know as they run them. So if you look at the case of Ubara, the process the president engaged, because there's a part of the Constitution which supports the removal of governor, and they stated and on that part of this Nigeria Constitution stated the proceedings on how to remove a deputy governor or a governor. So I want to read that part of the section. I think section 188 part 2 chapter 6, something like that. So we'll read that section. I want to go through this constitution while as I talk about the impeachment proceedings that Peter Obi stood, that these people don't follow this process to impeach me. And because these people don't follow this process, I don't think this impeachment stand. Because the gross misconduct, which is the backing of our constitution, that shows that this is what the governor, the deputy governor, were engaged in, that we give the constitutional backing for the members of the House of Assembly to strip him of the power. Let's look at this. Let's look at the constitutional first. Let me go through it. I want to go through it so that we'll see it together. Then I will talk about the impeachment. There are some other things I want to talk about. It said the governor or deputy governor of a state may removal of governor be removed from office in accordance with the provision, or deputy governor of this section from office whenever a notice of an allegation in writing signed by not less than 1/3 of the members of the House of Assembly stating that the holder of such office is guilty of gross misconduct in the performance of the functions of his office, dated particular of which shall be specified, the Speaker of the House of Assembly shall, within 7 days of the receipt of this notice, cause a copy of the notice to be served on the holder of the office and on each member of the House of Assembly, and shall also cause any statement made in reply to the allegation by the holder of the office to be served on each member of the House. Just the process when you're supposed to follow. Now, within 14 days of the presentation of the notice to the Speaker of the House of Assembly, whether or not any statement may be made by the holder of the office in reply to the allegation containing the notice, House of Assembly shall resolve by motion without any debate whether or not the allegation shall be investigated. A motion of the House of Assembly that the allegation be investigated shall not be declared as having been passed unless it is supported by the votes of not less than 2/3 majority of all the members of the House of Assembly. Within 7 days of the passing of a motion under the foregoing provision of the section, the Chief Judge of the state shall, at the request of the Speaker of the House of Assembly, appoint a panel of 7 persons who, in his opinion, are of unquestionable integrity, not being member of any public service, legislative house, or political party, to investigate the allegation as provided in the section. The holder of an office whose conduct be investigated under the section. So many things that we need to take in this provision if you read it out there. Especially the proceedings in the implementation of an impeachment, that you must notify the holder of that office who you want to impeach. You must give them a notice, even if you don't reply or not, but you must notify and say they want impeachment. These are the grounds Peter Obi had on during his impeachment. And also, one thing I also find out is, apart from the proceedings, is you say now gross misconduct. What is the definition? The definition of gross misconduct, maybe misuse of power, or maybe things have result to theft and so many other things. And also in our constitution, you see the main reason, the reasons why that is being itemized, why or how the definition of gross misconduct and how it should be applied and what it should be done. To impeach a governor can fall on the ground of maybe violence day for the state, something like that. You can impeach the governor based on evidence shows say he involved himself in fraudulent act. You can impeach the government based on the misuse of his office, the functionality of his office. The office get functions, maybe not lay out the appropriational bill, not lay out his spendings or money that was released by the state for some projects, not carrying out, then such. But there's one thing I find out also in our constitution that I feel like, why? They say 1/3 of the members of the House of Assembly get the power. That is the minimum. 1/3 of the House of members of Assembly get the power to impeach. Why not 2/3? Why 1/3? That means if there are 21 persons as members of House of Assembly, seven of them come together to fight for impeachment case. It's supposed to be like 2/3. Maybe I don't understand that side of it, but that's just my take. So that was the backing that Ms. Peter Obi had on and filed again. He said no, this proceedings when they follow to take impeachment don't make sense, and the court granted him victory. And they say the impeachment processes failed constitutional backing. There was no notification to the office holder. 1. Number 2, the evidence when I present, they concrete enough. There's no evidence that this man thieved the state money or misused the power misuse the power that is given to him, or there's any way that show fragmentation in his office or the power. They not show so. Peter Obi won again. And that process why he was being impeached, the state conducted an election. The state conducted an election that would have brought in Andy Uba. Andy Uba is the brother of Chris Uba, the godfather of Ngige. When Ngige get issue with Chris Uba at that time in Anambra State. See, Anambra State was a war zone where they locked the governor for inside governor house, where they kidnapped the governor. Godfather kidnapped the governor. So that election would have brought in Andy Uba, who is the brother of Chris Uba, the supposed godfather of Chris Ngige. And you know what again? Peter Obi still went to court. Say, court too. I've not served my full tenure. You've reinstated me. You've nullified the election, number 1. Number 2, you said the impeachment failed the processes and they want to remove me. Please, you have to do at the court again. Reinstated, strip off the victory from Andy Uba and reinstalled or reinstate Peter Obi. They reinstated Peter Obi. That's how Peter Obi came in, finished his tenure, did the second one, where he won also Soludo. Soludo came and take on that PDP, or I can't remember the party, and he won the second tenure that ended in 2014. So if you see this man's lifestyle and how he follow a lifestyle, he knew the power of the judiciary. He never get any engagement when go come make this summer. He stood on his mandate and he won. And that was the same thing he thought would have played out during 2023 election, thinking that, okay, we'll go court. Maybe the court will see all the evidence provided and will also call for the nullification of the election and maybe say, okay, we'll do another one. But don't forget, say, now the INEC, now the judiciary are all politicians. It is about their own interest first. Their interests supersede every other interest. If it's going to benefit their pockets, they don't really care about any process. That is the situation we are in Nigeria. You see how backward we don't go from 2023 to where we are right now. Now let's leave about impeachment. Let's see, what did this man, what did he do while he was the governor? Now you want to come out to represent Nigeria 2027. You tried this in 2023. You almost won. You formulated a movement known as the obedience movement that cut across religion, cut across ethnicity, cut across so many things, and brought Nigeria together in unity. You did that. How you typically do all those things? Do you see why I said philosophy played an important role? This man understand what I need to do, the process I need to follow to reach out to Nigerians, because you understand that Nigeria is a young population. These are the things I need to do, because people just really clinch to around, not be say really do one thing or do no. People just what is his ideology? Wait till happen. Now, while I was in office, I also checked so many places to see if I could get any information relating to corrupt practices while I was a governor. For the number of years he stayed, I did not see. The only one that I saw was Pandora Papers, which I will talk about later on now. So as a governor, what did he do? As a governor, for two different newspapers in Nigeria to award you as the best governor, you know, say not be based on your political play. Because these days now, we see best governor awards being given to people who pay more. Imagine NUJ, they celebrate Bello of Kogi State that has a case to settle with EFCC. A man that deprived the Kogi people of dividends of democracy. The NUJ, whose responsibility are to feed the people with the right information. They celebrate people when get issues for hand. Celebrate a man when get fraudulent activity, a man when get serious case of 110 billion with EFCC. NUJ, National Union of Journalists, they celebrate a man that when get issues, when still get case to answer. Because you would tell that NUJ consider their own interest. Maybe they don't give them money, or maybe something don't play along the line. That is all they care about. Now, for two different newspapers to give you an award as the best governor, you know, say that might try. And also, UN also gave him an award. He did so well. No, I'm not saying Peter Obi came out 100% like all the policies or things he did as a governor came out successfully. No. But why? What is the idea? What I'm looking at is the idea behind the policies he engaged, behind the project he did. What are the idea? Are you trying to elevate the people out of poverty? Are you trying to make the people eradicate ignorance? Are you trying to give the people the right information so that they can function with the right information? Because all we need is to function with the right information. Once you have the right information, you will know how to implement the right information and make it productive. So all we need is the right information. What did he do? He spent so much on education. And we saw it that the Anambra state, which was known as one of the states in the east, when they pay attention to education because everybody want to be Oga, everybody want to work under Oga, did so well that they became the top in Nigeria under his tenure. And we saw that in the health section, more than from rehabilitation to facilities, equipment, and everything for the health sector, more than 1,000 hospitals were affected. Directly or indirectly, either he rehabilitate them, or he build new hospitals, or he put a laboratory or do something for the health sector. We also see how he uses his business side, which is very important. You have to use what you have to bring in investment to the state. That is the same thing Donald Trump is doing. Donald Trump is a businessman, and they use his influence in the business world to negotiate. And you see how he traveled to the Middle East, and that trip brought trillions of dollars to the United States economy. That is what a businessman do. You negotiate for your benefit, and you try to find a balance where it benefits you and it benefits the other person. Donald Trump is seen as a good negotiator. I'm not also saying or implying that Donald Trump policies or everything Donald Trump they do recent times are good. That is not what I'm implying. That is not what I'm implying. What I'm driving at is, what is the idea behind the policies? That is what I'm really focusing on, because I'm not saying the idea. I'm not saying the policies or the project that was engaged came out productive. Like we see the side of bringing a foreign brewery company to Anambra State. That was not easy to do. He used his business influence to bring that company to Anambra. And the first year when they run that company was worth about $100 million. The first year, although we know say the company growth was affected by environmental and political factor, we cannot rule that out. But we see that him trying to bring foreign investment not to the states to create employment, to increase internal generated revenue for the state is a good thing. If we only talk bad about person or one really castigate someone or criticize someone, we need to look at objectively and look at based on fact. Not the contradict or not the talk about somebody because of you get sentiments or you don't like the person. View everything you want to talk about individuals based on waiting layout. What are the things you gathered and what you could judge from every information you could gather about that person? That is what I'm looking at. Now, someone who could bring foreign investment to a state, the big company that he brought, that brewery company, now they produce Budweiser, Grand Malt, Better Malt, Hero. Till today we still have Hero, although we do not have it as a major beer, but we also see that it did for some states. I don't know in recent times how the company is doing, but for the company to have stayed for these years, it means it tried. Whether we like it or not, that company, they employ people for that state, whether we like it or not. That is the investment. These are some of his achievements he did. So it's got that every idea, plan, purposefulness, direction he followed as a governor were to bring these people to a better place. And also, there's one amazing thing about Peter Obi, which some of us know they look into consideration. After he finished his tenure as the governor of Anambra State, he come off from political scene. Not unlike what they see governors they do these days. Once they just finish their 8 years, because of their interest, because of the enjoyment where they don't enjoy, because of the corrupt practices where they don't engage in, because of the fear of, if I leave the political scene, the person coming in, because we have contradiction, we have issues, the person will use the EFCC or the ICPC to fight me. I don't want such situations, so I need to stay relevant. I need to be in the political scene. I need to have an edge politically, so that whenever this guy tries to come, I go in a better position to stand against that. That is some of the reasons why these politicians, after they do 8 years, they won't stay. And because of their selfish interest, also we cannot rule that out. They always want to be there to loot Nigeria. You just finish 8 years. You never have to come out, say, make a relax, rethink. After going through the stress you've gone through, for every political position have a stress. So be a governor of the states, look how the transformation when they happen for their health. Once they enter, look the transformation. Or look the transformation when happened during Buhari time. May his soul rest in peace. Look at the transformation when he entered and when he left. Or see Banjo when he entered and when he left. Or see Goodluck Jonathan when he entered and when he left. You see the transformation in their health. That enough. You say, okay, make her relax, make her do everything. But for them to just, as a governor, you are not a minister. As a governor, you are not a senator. You know that it is for their own interest. They don't have. I keep on saying this. I keep on saying this to Nigerians. I keep on saying this. None of them, all of them you see, none of them get your interest. The better you grab this thing, the better for us. None of these individuals, when they see so, gets your interest. Anyone will just leave governor, become a minister, become a senator, House of Rep member, or still dey. After everything, you know say now for their own interest. But then going back to Peter Obi, Peter Obi left the political scene for 9 years, 2014, and came back again for 2023 election. What happened all these years? What I could pick from theoretically, these are hypotheses, so not based on say I see any facts or evidence when lay my claim. What I think say maybe he go sit back, knowing full well, because he not come out, he not vouch for any position. Probably they would have offered him. He get good political scorecard. They would have offered him and say, okay, let's come. Why did he not do this? Why? And he left the political scene and focused on his business. And he studied the Nigeria scene. He knew what he needed to do and how he needed to win votes, or how he needed to come to lay out his ideology, political ideology, sell it out to parties, sell it out to Nigerians, and see how they will buy it. And he knew that he was going to have an edge. Everything when Peter Obi do prior to 2023, we are all planned. He knew how to engage the youth, and that is why we still have the obedience movement. People that believe in his ideology. He came 2023, but the judiciary failed him. Came out under PDP, no work. Come out under Labour Party, contest, had an edge, and also brought evidence to show proof that the election need to be nullified. That he had a lot of malpractices, but you don't forget, say the judiciary this time not really care about malpractices. They care about their own interests. We know for a fact that the INEC, who we think is independent, is controlled by the government of the day. The INEC not really independent. Now, name that it independent, national, whatever. They're not independent. The government is the one funding the INEC, number one. The two, the employment of the people or the positions. Appointees. You want INEC chairman appointed position. Now the governor, the president, they appoint INEC chairman, appoint every position. They give them directive on what to do. Now the government of the day, they fund them. For me to fund work, what I want to do, so that now get edge, and I will deliver as INEC. It is what I want you to do that you do it. You don't have a say. So the INEC is not independent. And the judiciary, which is now very, very corrupt, that cares about their interests, could not give victory to everyone, opposition leader, who brought evidence to show that the election were marked with rigging, violence, and what have you. And we see that it's coming again in 2027. Now, what is his ideology? Why? And I see when people came out with the Pandora paper. Now, what is the Pandora paper? The Pandora paper is a leaked document. Leaked documents, maybe by investigative journalists around the world. The Pandora paper are journalists when they work together, they leak maybe documents of individuals who are wealthy, celebrity or politicians, their business life or what they do secretly when you don't know how they engage in policies, so they follow the back door, till they buy properties, back doors till they do businesses make you not know. So there are journalists around the world, I think around 117 nations around the world, around 600 journalists that do investigation on these personalities and reveal this paper or this document to the public. That is what Pandora paper is. So what they see in Peter Obi was Peter Obi shell companies and other things when they do to avoid some kind taxes, which we know are one of the things businessmen do. Businessmen, they try as much as possible. Every businessman, they try as much as possible to cut costs, to reduce costs, to make more profit and reduce costs. In the US, Elon Musk, you not get any businessman, you not get for around the world. Dangote, you not get anybody in Nigeria, you not get any business person around the world. When they involve in shell companies, they involve in one or two things till they reduce the cost of doing business, till they avoid taxes, till they follow backdoor to avoid taxes, to reduce cost. Every businessman they do. So that one not really count. And they don't fit trace any money to us. Okay, this is what he did while he was a governor. He stole this, he stole this. that is my take on profiling Peter Obi. Okay, come to the end of this episode. Do well to support us. Follow us on all our social media platform. If you have any contradiction, you have issues with how the facts I've gathered and what I've said, you do not really like it, you think I did not analyze it well, I did not lie a lie or something else, or you can state some of those things in the comment section. Then let me tell you why I think this is what I am thinking or how I understood this. So let's go. Peace out.
Yeah, instead it be them, let it be me. Since I will die, inevitably, then let it be, that it be said, when I am dead. Some other was free, some other was fed, some other not me, was able to see that long as we live inside of a country where no one is safe, no one is safe. We only evade, try to escape the imminent doom, but closer the date looms. It comes for all. If we must go, then at least when we fall, when we're